Hey everyone, it's your buddy Crypto Profit back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about AMP, A-M-P. This is a coin worth looking into. I think it's a coin that has a lot of potential behind it. We will continue to cover it here in the near and dear future, so if you guys want to stay up to date with AMP as well as so many other altcoins on the channel, make sure to quickly subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and like the video. So there's a lot to really cover today. Obviously, a lot of great news for AMP. Obviously, jumping onto Coinbase, getting Coinbase Earn, as well as so many other things to talk about. So we will be deep diving into AMP, whether it's under or overvalued right now. You have to be very careful when new coins are listed on exchanges because there is that overwhelming hype to it. So specifically with Coinbase, you'll see big price increases going into big price dips. So here we see that we've had some big jumps in the past. We've had some massive increases, and then I guess weeks later you'll see crashes down 15, 20, 30, 40, 50%. So it's crazy. You have to watch out for that. Obviously, with smaller coins, smaller market caps, this kind of thing is definitely a possibility. But before we jump straight into really what's going on with AMP, I do want to quickly read kind of a description of what AMP is, and then we'll jump into all of that big news and information that you guys should know about if you want to invest in AMP or want to learn more about what you have or are holding. So AMP is an Ethereum token that aims to collateralize payments on the Flexa network, making them instant and secure. If a BTC or ETH payment fails due to unconfirmed or long transaction times, the AMP collateral can instead be liquidated to cover losses, while the vendor receives payment in fiat, potentially providing greater assurances to both parties. So this is just another great, really safety mechanism in place to really help with making sure you have safety. You have a safety net pretty much if you send it and your coins never get to the address, they never get there some reason. You do have like I said, some kind of security there. So we're gonna jump into it a little bit here. With these crazy volatilities coming from January about below that 1 cent mark, we are now at 9 cents with a massive increase here June 14th alone, almost to 10 cents. So we are going to, like I said, jump into it with a 17.31% increase in the last 24 hours. It's a coin a lot of people are wondering about. Jumping into the first thing, AMP is now available on Coinbase. So obviously that was the big news today, not today, sorry, June 11th. It talked about AMP jumping onto Coinbase, and you can actually see just massive movement in the last couple of days. With June 10th, it started on the move already, and then you saw June 11th really start to move back up again, and then you kind of saw it stabilize, and yet another increase up to 9 cents now. So like I said, AMP on Coinbase is definitely a big and good thing for AMP. Obviously, accessibility is a huge thing when jumping into coins. So there are many ways to earn AMP as rewards. You can actually stake payments on Flexa. You can actually earn interest with Gemini, and you can learn AMP to earn AMP at Coinbase and more. So you can start your journey at amptoken.org, and you can take advantage of all the free ways to jump on board and get your AMP token. So like I said, it's a great, really accessibility to the token right now. And I think that's a big thing that people are doing right, or I guess coins are starting to do right. They're starting to get them involved with these free ways to earn, free ways to get rewards. And that's going to be a great way to really get people to learn more about your token, understand if it's something they want to invest in for the long term. And like I said, so much more coming for AMP in the near future. Jumping into one of these articles talking really about AMP and the crypto itself. So 9 things to know about AMP coin as it starts trading on Coinbase. AMP is partnered with Flexa network. So AMP is gaining, AMP is gaining on Friday as the crypto starts trading on Coinbase today. So obviously this was a past article talking about the 9 things you need to know, and I just want to kind of go over it again because it does talk about 9 big things and reasons why AMP is a coin worth looking into. So the first thing that crypto investors should know is that AMP is an Ethereum-based token. It acts as a collateral for payments that are made using the Flexa network. This means that if the payment takes too long or fails, AMP collateral can be liquidated to cover the costs. That means that the vendor still gets paid, and it adds extra security for both buyers and sellers using crypto. AMP boasts that this can allow for it to cover a large variety of transaction types. That includes digital payments, fiat currency exchange, loan distributions, property sales, and more. There's a fixed supply of AMP tokens in order to reduce the risk of volatility. AMP already works with a large variety of companies that made use of its services. Among them are Flexa, CoinGecko, Gemini, Sushi, Uniswap, and many others. That is a long list of great companies already taking advantage of AMP, and it's an obvious reason as to why AMP is on Coinbase. We do see a lot of movement recently. Obviously, a lot of people were waiting for this accessibility to come out before they were able to invest. And we also see, like I said, a lot of great free ways to really get involved with AMP, and that's exactly why we're continuing to see this nice increase. Currently, I do think we have a potential to be overvalued, but I will talk about that here in a second and why AMP, I think, will have a nice dip that leads to a nice increase in the future. Taking a look at one more tweet, it was actually, if you go to the AMP Twitter itself, it talks about how AMP can collateralize any type of asset transfer, whether digital or physical. Today, AMP is providing the collateral for instant fraud-proof transactions made using more than 25 different digital assets. So that is a lot of assets, obviously a lot of potential behind AMP. And like I said, I think it's going to be a coin a lot of people are interested in here in the future. I do want to take a look at their website as well. So it talks about let's take money into the 21st century. AMP provides assets like GUSD, Bitcoin with instant verifiable assurance for any real world application. You can see that you can stake, send, and repeat, obviously all available on AMP. And then you can jump down to why AMP. So it talks about, like I said, collateral as a service, non-inflationary, asset agnostic, extensible, and obviously open source. So more to explore. It talks about all the the white paper itself. If you want to jump into the AMP white paper, we won't do that for your sake. Obviously, there's a lot of information in white papers, but realistically, I'm trying to give you guys the brief summary of what AMP can all really be capable of doing and why it's a coin a lot of people are jumping into right now with all of the free rewards potentially possible. So with free rewards comes a little bit of a negative. Obviously, it opens up a lot of doors to a lot of new people and investors. However, when you have those free rewards, people are most likely going to hold for a little bit, and then they're going to end up, selling them off as they just have, $3 to $6 to $9, depending on what rewards they really do. So we will see probably a sell-off for AMP unless the market continues to just thrive. I do think this 110 increase over the week span will start to deteriorate just a little bit. I do think we jump back down to maybe a 5 to 6 cent price point. Looking at this last month alone, you can actually see that just in May, we were sitting at 3 cents for quite some time, moved up to 4 cents, and then we saw some crazy movement. At the very least, I do expect AMP to drop down to about 5 to 6 cents. You can kind of see that's where it kind of started to stabilize before this Coinbase really movement that we had here from 0.0552 all the way up to that 0.0989, so almost 10 cents. Obviously, Coinbase was the June 11th, it came out June 11th on Coinbase AMP itself. But I do think realistically 5 to 6 cents is that bottom ground, or I guess a stabilization, fallback support level that we will probably fall back to. So I think realistically we will drop down to about a 5 to 6 cent mark before we start to increase yet again. And I think AMP is, like I said, it's one of those coins that's a little bit higher risk, higher reward, because nobody knows exactly what's going to happen after Coinbase listings do take place. We know that there's some crazy volatility, but there really kind of always depends on the investing in updates and upgrades. And really, if AMP continues to take advantage of this, they throw some good announcements out there, stuff like that, we could see AMP continue on without major dips. Obviously, we already came from 10 cents all the way down to about 8.5 cents. So there is a lot of volatility. Like I said, we could see this drop all the way down to 5 to 6 cents before we see some good progress. So because of this, I'm going to do price predictions for June, July, and 2021. If you guys invested here at the top of 9 cents, I would say this is probably not a great time to invest just because of its current price point. You got to look at the market cap. It's at $3.8 billion. So let's see where that's located on the price list. That is right below AVE. That is actually above some fantastic coins. That's above things like Kasama. That's above things like Algorand. That's above PancakeSwap. That's above IOTA. That's above Crypto.com, Cosmos, BitTorrent, just some crazy coins that it's above. And I think realistically, we aren't going to see AMP at this, at this price point for much longer. I do think we could continue to see it kind of push up. We could actually see go all the way back up to 10 to 11 cents possibly, and then drop back down to that 5 to 6 cents eventually. But, realistically, by the end of June, I do think AMP drops back down to 5 to 6 cents. By the end of June, I actually see AMP as a 6 cent price point. Unfortunately, this is one of those that I do think will have to come down before it goes back up. Going into the end of July, hopefully we're out of this manipulation FUD or really accumulation stage across all altcoins. And if we are, I do think AMP has a great opportunity to push closer to that 9 to 10 cent price point that it was once at. And, realistically, I think that's, the way it's going to go. I think we will come down before we go back up. And I think 9 to 10 cents is a realistic price prediction for AMP by the end of July. Going into the end of 2021, obviously there is a lot of possibilities because that is pretty far away and we don't know how long this bull market's going to go. We don't know how long this accumulation phase is going to go either. We also don't know too much about the future plans of AMP. I'm going to assume they're going to try to grab more assets. They're going to try to do bigger and better things. And we're going to continue to, like I said, keep you guys up to date with AMP as well as price predictions for AMP. But, realistically, hopefully we'll stay on top of it. I think by the end of the year, by the end of the bull market, we could easily see AMP pushing closer to about a 20 to 25 cent price point. I think there's not going to be much potential for much more than a 25 cent price range. I think 20 to 25 cents is about where I will top off AMP for the end of the bull market. So that is my price prediction on AMP. I think it's a great coin. I think it's got so much great possibilities and potential, but because of this Coinbase listing, I think it is currently a little bit overvalued at this current point in time. When you have things like Chainlink at $25, when you have things like, Hedera Hashgraph as such a lower market cap than, AMP, I think realistically it is going to level out just a little bit, but maybe down to 5 to 6 cents before we see, like I said, that rise back up. So we'll keep an eye on it. I definitely think it's a coin worth looking into. If you guys have not already, made it, add it to your watch list, wish list, or whatever you call it, and take advantage of AMP, because I do think, like I said, it's going to drop down to maybe 5 to 6 cents, and I do think we have potential to see it climb right back up. So it's a coin to watch out for. Just wanted to let you guys give kind of awareness to this coin, as we haven't talked about it on the channel quite yet, but we will start talking about it pretty much daily or weekly on the channel. So make sure to stay up to date by subscribing to the channel, turn notifications on, and like the video. I'll see you guys all in the next one.